Morning, everyone. Good to see you all. Day 17. Here we go. So today's going to be a solo practice where you're just going to chant the U, and we'll spend a little bit of time in the beginning experimenting with the transition from the A bija mantra to the U bija mantra, just to feel that migration, or maybe even like pilgrimage, right? The pilgrimage of phonetic sound from one space to another space. But before that, I just want to share with you the Hindu creation myth of the world, because the A, the U, and the represent beginnings or creation, preservation or maintenance or survival or evolution is the U, as we suggested or explained yesterday, and then the represents death, and this corresponds with Brahma, the creator god, Vishnu, the god of preservation, and Shiv, the god of death and transformation. And so the creation myth of Hinduism is a really sort of enchanting way to appreciate the Om itself, but it also gives us some unique insights. The way in which the story is told informs the practitioner of where they usually stand within this experience of creation, preservation, and destruction. Alrighty. And so the story is Vishnu, right? He is a blue man, god of preservation, is having a dream of the world. And all of a sudden, from this dream, he wakes up on the lap of Adisesh. Adisesh is the multi-headed god, or the multi-headed snake. Adisesh means the first remainder. And so Adisesh is sort of there before beginnings and there after ends. He will remain. And so Vishnu wakes up on the lap of Adisesh and is recounting this dream of reality. And as he looks around, he realizes that he and Adisesh are floating on the ocean of Maya, the ocean of illusions, the ocean of potential realities. Vishnu, he's sitting there yearning for this dream reality in the very same way that we yearn for the realities or the dreams that exist in our minds, right? And so he calls upon Brahma. Brahma sprouts out of his navel, and Brahma, little Brahma inside a lotus, is staring at a larger Vishnu, and Vishnu commands Brahma, Brahma, god of creation, create the world I experienced in my mind. And Brahma, looking at Vishnu, closes his eyes, enters samadhi, much like our position 1, and from there generates reality. And so, okay, it's a nice little myth, but what are like the key points that we can sort of absorb to help inform our practice? 1, the creation myth starts with the god of preservation. It doesn't start with the god of creation. And so that's an interesting detail. Why is that so? Because all of the Hindu myths, all of the Vedic tales, they are there to inform a practitioner of their journey. And when we start our journey, we start, midway into the story, right? We don't start our process. We don't start our practice when we are born, when we're created. You wake up one day, 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, and then you want to create the world. And so very much like this creation myth, Vishnu, the god of preservation, already exists, and from his existence wants to recreate his reality. And so we start as preservation, and then we start as Brahma and aim to create a new reality itself. And so that's one interesting detail. And the second interesting detail I always think is Brahma himself. Brahma, the god of creation, is overwhelmed with the task that he's charged with to create reality. And he himself, with all the power of the universe, also must focus. He also must close his eyes. He also must still his body. He also must control his breath to enter samadhi before he can do what is asked of him. And so as a practitioner, again, taking information from these stories, it's like, if Brahma has to enter samadhi, if Brahma has to enter meditation to create the world, I certainly must enter meditation to create my reality as well. And so these two little details, I hope you inform you with your practice. If you want to create the Om, if you want to create the peace, the mystic peace that we're sort of looking for through this chant, through this mantra, you certainly must connect to the technique. You must be still. You must slow down your breath. You must focus your mind on the sensations. And from there, become Brahma and create your practice. But as Vishnu, as someone who has already lived so much of life, who has already evolved and formed an identity, who has already experienced the sort of the preservation, the sense of preservation that Vishnu represents. So something to think about. With that, let's get into this. Posture 1. And so this is going to be a solo practice. The vast majority, about 20 minutes or so, you're just going to spend chanting the U. And I guess something to clarify at this point too is, we spend a lot of time in the beginning thinking about things, contemplation, ideas and philosophies and words. But when you're in your practice, you want to shift gears. And this is a sophisticated way of practicing yoga. You want to shift gears and connect to the physicality. Just feel. And the more time you spend feeling, the more relaxed your nervous system will become. But because of your posture, everyone straighten your spine, straighten your arms. Because of your posture, you will also become more awake. And so the philosophies of Ida and Pingala, they manifest as physical sensations. Hands are spread wide, focus on the fingertips. And now bring your fingers to your thumbs. At this point, not so random. Again, shifting from abstract thought to physical sensation. Breathe in, feel the stomach swell. Feel the lungs fill up with air, but stop just before you hit the collarbone. Expand upon the length of your exhale. And so in this moment, you are much like Brahma. You are creating the space for your practice. And the secret or not so secret motivation behind your willingness to practice is obviously to create a new world, to create a new relationship with yourself, to create a new relationship with reality. So as always, we must present ourselves to our practice in a way that will facilitate success. And so we must present ourselves as already tranquilized. Three minutes here. If peace comes, honor it, hands to heart center. Spend time memorizing that piece. What did I have to do to create it? What does it actually feel like in my body? Who am I when I have it or when I am with it? If it doesn't come, it doesn't come. 3 minutes here. So notice you are creating a new world after already have lived life. You wake up within the story, not at the beginning. You have decades behind you. And to the yogic mind, you have lifetimes behind you. But today is the day you wake up. And so as you acknowledge that position in time, you are Vishnu. Already existent. All right, let's come to Bhumi Sparsha Mudra if you haven't yet. And again, if Brahma had to focus, if he had to will himself into samadhi before creating reality, we certainly must do the same. The brilliance of yogic philosophies is that they are tethered to physical exercises. And when we practice, to practice well, we have to abandon the philosophies and connect to the physical experience. Whether that's the buzzing, vibratory sensations in the body, or the more obvious resonance and vibration of chanting. The more time we spend feeling the chant, feeling the vibration, the more relaxed our nerves will be, the more awake our mind will be, and at the end, we can reconsider these high abstract truths, and they will land powerfully within us. The way a farmer tills the soil and plants the seeds deep within the earth, it is more fruitful this way. And so only feeling for a few minutes, chant the ah to the oo and feel that migration from chest to throat. And once you have a sense of that on your own, whether it's 5 or 10 minutes, just fixate on the oo. When the mind wanders, when it gets distracted or tired of feeling, think of preservation. Think of Vishnu. Think that life is evolving forward. Everyone take a deep breath in. Ah to oo. And so this experience of life, managed through the force of preservation, which in itself involves birth and death, but is simultaneously distinct, is not just cycling endlessly, but evolving forward. The yogic mind believes in evolution, believes in the acquisition of greater expressions of balance, creativity, harmony, and intelligence. And so life grows. And the way in which the human individual grows is from physical to mental to spiritual, from external to internal, from obvious to subtle. So we use the nadas, we use the 4 layers of sound to help instigate this growth and to help us as people move in that direction. And so from the vocal sound, vaikari, ahata, we tiptoe to silence. Madayam, start to whisper the U as softly as you can, focusing on the tickle and vibration in the throat. Notice as you decrease the volume of your chanting, your presence heightens. You become a little more alert to your immediate experience and to your specific reality. From madayam to pashyanti, the sound that is seen within and felt. Repeat the U bija mantra in the mind mentally, but feel the vibration in the throat, as if somehow the vocal cords were still working and the tissues were still experiencing that resonance. From Pashyanti to the Paranad, the primordial sound, no mental repetition of the mantra, but feel the vibration and associate that as the Om. The Om is more than Vishnu, the god of preservation. The Om is more than Brahma, the god of creation. The Om is more than Shiva, the god of destruction. The Om contains all three forces. Your practice becomes uniquely enchanting and uniquely powerful when you start to believe, you make this leap of faith, that feeling in your body is the Om. That feeling is what creates growth, what sustains life, and what will eventually signal the end. And so as you sit and feel it, as you sit and hear it, work to revere it and harness it and respect it and appreciate it. This is life. Bring your hands to heart center, lengthen your spine, keep your head held high. Listen to the world around you. And project the experience of your own inner vibrations, your own inner aliveness out into the whole world. And so the concept is, by chanting, you relax your nervous system. That makes your brain literally more willing to consider abstract thoughts. A stressed mind is not a mind that's ready to think. It's ready to focus on a problem and figure the problem out. And so a relaxed mind is an open mind. Your hands are at heart center, you're paying attention to the world. In this moment, you have lived. You have years behind you, as everything has lived. But you wake up to a deeper sense of self, like Vishnu waking up from his dream. You wake up on the raft of your own existence, an existence that is both terrifying at first, but also a sanctuary. Just like Adisesh, a multi-headed snake. And in this moment of wakefulness, there is the wish to create a better world, a more authentic self, a sweeter path. And for this reason, you close your eyes. For this reason, you practice to connect to some inner power. Just like Vishnu, the god of preservation, looked within and called upon Brahma, called upon the god of creation, who emerged from within the character. And so you can see that this creation myth is really an instruction to the yogi on how to live life, how to pursue dharma. Thumb knuckles to third eye center. In this great narrative, this great game of choice and better choice and evolution and growth is all contained within the concept of the Om. And when we chant the Om, somehow we transcend this game. And we find a little moment of liberation. Focus on the tingling between your thumbs and your forehead. Again, that is the Om. Release your wrists to your knees. Posture 1, your day out in front of you. waiting to be created. Sitting as Brahma, focused and connected. With an inhale, open your eyes. Feel the trance of your practice as always wash away such a sensitive space. Slow down your breath.